Welcome, everyone. This is Mr. Simone from Floral Park Memorial once again, and I'm here for another one of our very brief overviews of each time period for the AP US History course. So we're up to time period 5, 1844 to 1877. Remember, this will be extremely brief. So let us begin. It starts with the election of James K. Polk in 1844. He defeated Henry Clay. You will learn an awful lot about Henry Clay this year. I'll also probably share with you the interesting aspects of this election. But James K. Polk was really known for territorial expansion. So this term, manifest destiny, was first used by John L. O'Sullivan. And it's the idea that Americans were destined to expand all the way to the Pacific Ocean. This is what God wanted Americans to do. So this map shows you all of the territorial expansion. But again, the term didn't first originate until 1845. As far as what Polk acquired, the annexation of Texas happened after his election, but before his inauguration. So it's really during the lame duck period of John Tyler. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I have to control myself. Somebody tell me to stop. He helped us acquire Oregon. And then it was the Mexican-American War in 1846 that really solidified continental U.S. as we know it today. This was a boundary dispute between Texas and Mexico. I'd always like to emphasize the United States already had Texas prior to the war. So the annexation of Texas took place in 1845. The war begins in 1846. So the territory that we acquire, this Mexican cession down here, is California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, part of Colorado, part of Wyoming. That's all the result of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which was how the Mexican-American War ended. So this is going to lead to sectional tension. So what happens is during this antebellum period, you are going to see significant political fights over the extension of slavery. So as we acquire all of this land, the debate will be, should the new territory be free or should the new territory be slave states? And this is really what defines like the 1850s probably being the most tense decade in American history. It ends with the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. And as soon as he's elected in November, in December, South Carolina becomes the first state to secede from the Union, thinking that he was going to abolish slavery. Again, we'll explore all of this during the year. But the election of Lincoln in 1860 is followed by the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865. I would like you to remember those dates, if at all possible. And once the Civil War is over, America experiences a time period called Reconstruction, probably a time period that many Americans are not particularly familiar with, but this is when a few issues had to be addressed. First, how are we going to readmit the former Confederate states into the Union? And how are we going to rebuild the South that's been destroyed a little bit by the Civil War? And most importantly, how are we going to treat the newly freed African Americans? About 4 million former slaves who are going to be part of Southern society. So Reconstruction is a very probably misunderstood time period in American history. And again, I mentioned this a little bit in class, but we'll explore it later on. So as far as your presidents for this time period, there they are. Okay, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, and Rutherford B. Hayes. He will be the president who's elected, which leads to the end of Reconstruction. All right, hope I kept that under a certain amount of time. Good seeing everybody, and I will see you for time period 6. Take care.